Today I'm going to show you a really fun and quick way to make a trick-or-treat bag. What you need is a random block. Any kind of block will do. Check your patterns to see if you for a 10.5 inch block or a 12.5 inch block, whatever, it'll work. You're just going to build out from this block and make the front of the bag. So the focus is the actual block. So this is just an example of one. I'm not going to use this one because I've already got one made up. So again, check your stash. Here at Drugger's Path, we have several Halloween fabrics to choose from, so you can go online and have a look. But this is going to be a fairly quick tutorial on how to make this bag. Okay, I'm going to show you what I've done so far. Okay, this is the front of my bag. Here is my random block that I made, just any block. Just for time's sake, I did the quilting. Well, first I added my pieces to make it big enough for a bag. So I've got one way going 15 inches. The long way is 16. So I'm just going to make it that orientation. But if you want to make it another one, you do whatever you want. So just make it big enough to hold the treats for the kids. And I just did this pumpkin quilting. I did a little pumpkin patch down here, and here's some moon and some stars on either side. So this is how I worked mine. And on the back, I already started out with a mistake, and I'm going to tell you what it is. Okay, I did this candy corn quilting on the back. This is directional fabric. And when I was cutting it out and looking at it, I went, in my head, it's directional fabric. Make sure it goes up and down. It does not, see? It goes sideways. So in my head, I'm going to say, you know what? These ghosts, they're flying. That's all. And I'm going to make it work. Because I could either do this over again, which I don't want to do. Because it took a little bit of time to do the quilting. I just used my embroidery module to do the quilting. So this is what I have so far. This is the outside of the bag, okay? That's your outside. And what I did, I just used batting. You can use the, I think it's called Soft and Stable. You can use that kind of a thicker interfacing. I just decided to use my, the batting that I had. So I've already got the front and back done. So you also need your lining pieces, which are the exact same size, 15 by 16. So whatever you do on the outside, do on the inside for your interface or for your lining. Okay, so that's one piece and another piece for my lining. And then you're going to need your handles. Okay, this is what I have. I have this kind of like it's a woven mesh kind of stuff. It's kind of thick. I do not like the look of this, so I'm going to cover these pieces. And what I did was I took some fabric from the same collection, and what I did was I cut, I think, a 3.5 inch piece. So I'm going to put this in here, fold it over, like it's going to kind of sit like that in there. So I iron that down 1/4 inch. I iron that down 1/4 inch, and this is like, this line is straight in the center. So I'm just going to fold it over, and then I will sew along that. When I get to that part, I'll show you in a little more detail. So that's all you need to make this bag. Now we're going to make box corners. So let's do that first. Okay, we're going to do box corners. So your bag can probably stand up on its own when it's done, and it just has a nicer look to it, I think. So what I'm going to do, and I have to make sure I do this correctly because I do not want to mess up. Okay, that's the bottom. That's the bottom. So I'm going to just flip this like this, and I'm going to make a 2.5 inch square here. So I got a friction pen, and I'm just going to kind of mark it out like that so I can see it. Put another 2.5 over here. Okay, so that is the front, and then I'm just going to take some scissors. We're going to cut out that square, and we'll flip it around. Okay, try to get it there, oh, threads here. Okay. Then we're going to do this one. Turn it around. Don't want to go too far over there. So that one is done. So it will look like that. And then I said this was our bottom. So I'm going to turn it like this. And we're going to draw the same 2.5 inch. Do that on this side as well. Okay, let's cut those out. So now we have our front and back. And what we're going to do is we're going to just sew around. Okay, we're going to kind of hold that in place with these Wonder Clips. Okay. Trying to get the tops matched up as well as you can. I find using the Wonder Clips a little easier than pins. First of all, you're not picking yourself. And this does a pretty good job of keeping things in place. Okay, we're going to end up sewing on 3 sides. Okay. I'm doing this all without a pattern. This is straight out of my head, but I've made several bags, so I kind of know what to do. So to do this bag, just watch this tutorial and you should be able to do it yourself as well. So I'm going to do a 1/4 inch seam. I know people like to do a 1/2 inch, and you do whatever you want, but whatever you do to the front and back, also do this to your the inside lining. If it's a 1/4 inch seam, do a 1/4 inch here as well, because you want these to match up when you go to put them together later. So what I'm going to sew there, I'm going to sew here, and I'm going to sew here, and then we'll get to the boxing of the corners. So that's that. And then for these ones, I'm also going to cut these out as well, and I'm going to sew this at the same time. So just to save a little time, so it's exactly the same thing as you're going to put, hang on here, we're going to put right sides together. Okay, I'm going to draw those same boxes, 2.5 inch square boxes here, and then I'm going to sew around using a 1/4 inch seam. So I'll do that, and we'll get on to the next step. Okay, one important point I forgot to mention before I go ahead and sew the lining. Leave an opening about a 3 inch, maybe 4 inch, whatever you're comfortable with, in the bottom part here. So you're going to do your sides, and you're going to sew up to, and I've got it marked here, and I've got it marked here. So you're going to sew here, here, and leave that opening, because you're going to be able to, like, you need to turn your bag through when you're done. So 3-4 inches, whatever, and yeah, just don't forget to do that. Okay, so let's get this one done. So you can see now that the sides have been sewn on both the outside and the lining pieces, and we left our opening on the bottom. Okay, time to box the corners. So we cut it out our piece. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this part here, this seam part, and this, and these kind of nest together. A minute, just so you can see. Trying to lay that out as flat as I can. So one goes one way, one goes the other, and those seams will just nicely nest together, and you're going to sew across that. So what we're going to do is we're just going to clip it in place along here. Okay. And one more clip. Okay. And the other side, same thing. But have an eye on which way that goes. So we put that one that way, so we're going to go the opposite way. Okay, we're going to just do our best to line things up. Get that center seam done first, okay? Clamp it with the clips. These Wonder Clips, I tell you, they're so great. One more. And then we're going to sew 1/4 inch along there, or if you're doing 1/2 inch, do 1/2 inch. So, and then you'll see the bag is starting to take shape. So we'll do that, and we're also going to do the exact same thing to our lining. Okay, so we're going to go one way and the other way, so that one can go like that, and we're going to just because it's thinner, I'm just going to use my pins. We're going to pin that in place. And all the way to the other side. There. To the other side as well. And over here. So that'll be boxed. And same thing on the other side. Just kind of let it go loose. And which way did we go? We went that way, so we're going to go like that, opposite way. Nest those little seams together. And grab yourself a pin. Put it in place. And this side, so we're going to go sew that. Next step, let's do our handles. Like I said, I don't really care for the look of this. So what I'm going to do is make it look pretty. Okay? Just kind of lay it in there with that fold, like I said, you fold it in half, you iron it, and then you fold 1/4 inch all the way on both sides. Quarter, maybe a nice little bit more, just a tad more. And you're going to lay that in there. And wait a minute, let me just put it down like that. And we're just going to fold that over like this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just clamp it in place, or clip. We're going to trim off that edge, so don't worry about it. And this part will be inside the bag, so it's not going to harm anything. But I learned this from a bag that I made from watching a quilting live with Sherry McConnell, where she covered her handle with some nice fabric. So you can make it look as nice as you want, and you have it on a really nice sturdy handle. So try and get that all the way up, and we're just gonna clip it all along. Just follow along your ironed lines that you have as a guide, and push it in like that, almost to the end. Now I made these, I don't think I said how long I made the handles. I made them 25 inches. Now you make it to whatever size you like. But I figured that's probably long enough, especially for little ones. You don't want them to have the handles too long so that the bag is dragging on the ground. Okay, let's do one more in place. And then what I'm going to do now, there's the edge there. So I'm going to sew down here. And I'll probably run a line there too in here. So it'll be nicely enclosed. So I'll do that to both sides, and we'll get on to the next step. Okay, here are our handles, all done. And don't they look much nicer now? Okay, so the next thing we need to do is put the handles on the bag. So, down into the bag. But we don't want to twist the handle, okay? We probably could have done that before we sewed them together, but it's okay. So what I'm going to do is mark off a length. How wide do I want these handles? So let's say I'm going to mark it about 4 inches from the edge, okay? Let's just put a little mark. 4 inches from the edge. I'll be able to see it that well. Oh, that's okay. Go like that. We're going to put a clip into place. And we'll go the other way. And again, make sure you don't twist your handle when you're putting it in like this. Okay. So I can see it that is not twisted and it comes up. Okay. Same on the other side. I know there was an easier way to do this, but it's okay. I'm going to put 2 clips just so it doesn't shift on me. And again, we're going to use our ruler, find that 4-inch mark. Okay, so we're going to go same way. Insert our handle. Go about 4 inches over like that. Clip it. So clips here. 1 and a 2. And the same over here. Mark 4 from your seam right there. And like that. So we can just tack those down real quick, like about 1/8 of an inch from the edge, because afterwards we're going to turn our lining and we're going to insert this so you get right sides together, and then we're going to sew around the top. But I just want to tack these into place first, so when I put this bag in, like, I don't have to move these clips or anything. So let's just do that bit first. Now I've got the handles tacked on, as you can see. Now it probably would have been easier if I had put those on before I sewed those two sides together, but you do whatever's easiest for you. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take our lining, because I put it through, right? Don't forget we have our little hole here. And I'm going to stuff the bag in here, stuff the lining, and these are right sides together. Try to get it down into the bag. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to line up our side seams. So one is going to go one way and one is going to go the other. So I'm going to clip that. I'm going to do the other side, where one will go one way and one will go the other. So we can have them nicely nested. Hopefully you can see this okay. And I'm going to clip it in place. And then I'm just going to go around the bag with the clips. Because we use the same seam width, like our 1/4 inch seam, it should match up. Well, looks like it is going to fairly well. Okay. And one more here. And on our other side, we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to match it along. Okay, now I recommend you probably do about a 1/2 inch seam here instead of a 1/4 inch. Because you want to get everything and you want it to make sure it's going to be pretty secure. One more. Look at that. Perfect. Perfect. Okay. So I'm going to do that all the way around. Okay. So that will be attached. And then we'll pull the bag through. And then we'll do a top stitch and close up that hole in the bottom. So let's get this part done. Okay, sewed all the way around. So here's the big reveal. Let's just see. Let's see, I'll pull out our handles. And we're going to just feed it through. Keep going, keep going. Okay, we got the bulkiest part out. Okay, so what I'm going to do is stick my hand in there and just kind of push out our corners. Wow, well, look at that. I think I did it okay. Look at, even our seams are right on. So we're going to stuff the lining back in there. Let me see this side. Let me see. Yeah, looks good. Seams are matched up quite nicely. So yay, did okay. Down here we got all 4 going okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to stuff that lining in there nice. So here's the back. There's our quilting. Here's our front. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to stuff that in. I'm going to give it a press. And then I'm going to top stitch all the way around. What do we got in the back? So I think I'll use a black thread. And I'll top stitch, maybe not quite 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch down all the way around. And I'm going to close that opening that we have here too. So here we have our finished trick-or-treat bag. Wasn't that a fun project to do? A fun bag. Look, you started out with your square, your block, any block, whatever, and you just built around it. You added your own flair to it and put on these nice sturdy handles. So there's your front, your back with your floaty ghosts. It worked. So this will make a really great trick-or-treat bag for your kids, grandkids, just a kid that you love. So fun. There's the inside. And there we go. Happy Halloween, everybody.